live.
Boom. All right, we're trying a whole bunch of different things today. I've got green screen going right now so people can see the inside of my studio. I've got a dual screens going today. I actually got an adapter, so I have the broadcast here and I have everything, all our other windows over on this screen here.
Nice.
So, and
You're
then
so
of course my
technical.
Ethernet. So
Yeah.
we're
Very
getting up
techy.
there. We're gonna be pro soon.
I'm using my 14-year-old webcam still because I cannot find the adapter that you suggested I buy last year to plug in my Sony.
I bet you left it at home.
No, I had my daughter go to the studio. Her boyfriend went there too and helped her look for it because it always sat at the main computer. Wasn't there because they came down and couldn't find it. So I don't know where it went. And I think what happened was I have a camera bag down here with all my gear.
Yep.
And I had a carry-on luggage. We always pack a lot of stuff.
Okay.
And I probably just threw it in a side pocket, and I already went through everything, but I got to pull it all apart, and I'm going to look because it's small, right? So, but anyway, that's all pretty irrelevant at this point in time. And this is my green screen. I'm actually not in Costa Rica. I'm in a blizzard in Sudbury, Ontario. I'm just really tough. I love the cold.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So I just wanted, before we get into posing, lighting, let's talk a little bit. I think this is exciting, worth mentioning that we got a pretty good month of speakers coming on board. Will Crockett next week is Will Crockett from, you remember Shoot Smarter?
Yep.
It was Mr. Will Crockett. Been chatting with him about other stuff.
And you did some webinars with him in the past too.
I used to be, and James and I were weekly, or I think it was monthly, I can't remember, contributors to his Shoot Smarter website. He had a whole host of contributors, and he asked us to. We met him in person in Las Vegas at the show. We had a booth there, and one thing about going to those shows, my favorite thing about any convention or conference is the trade show, just meeting people. And then you meet somebody like Will, he comes over, says hi, and then from there on, you start opening up other opportunities. I love that kind of stuff, and you could do the same thing, I'm sure.
Definitely.
In your local town in any trade show scenario. So after Will Crockett, we have none other than...
After him, yes.
Yeah, who is it? I'll let you say it.
I believe we have Sal Sincata's wife, Alyssa, coming on.
We do. Thanks to you, Johnny.
That's going to be a fun one because she's, I believe she's a Westcott ambassador, and she does she helps him on all his shoots, but then she also is a great photographer in her own right. So
nice.
And she runs the whole studio basically. She basically tells him where to go and when to be there, and
she's the boss.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I would highly recommend if you tune into that, you watch the Sal Sincata one from 6 weeks ago or so. It's in the replays, and it was really good. He said so many cool things, as well as all the other guests we've had on. And, John, I want to just let everybody know, John is the one that's going after these big, I'm going to call them whales. That's what they call the big players. And he's fearless and shameless as far as getting them. That's how he's got Peter Hurley and Sal Sincata's wife. Who else did we have that?
And then at the end of the month, I was able to lock down, I think for the 24th, if I'm not mistaken, whatever that Thursday is on February, we've got the one and only Vanessa Joy coming on.
So Vanessa Joy is amazing wedding photographer and instructor. I did a series with her 7 years ago, a 4 or 5 hour, 5-part series on wedding photography for members. One of many advanced training series that I had. We had Larry Hertzberger on too. He was good.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yeah, he was really good.
Just an interesting little side topic before we get into this. I want to talk about these speakers. So I think I might have mentioned this to you, John, but it's worth repeating. I've landed a whole bunch of big fish in my day, but I always caught them early on, like Brian DeMint, just as he was making it big. And he's been like, we probably had him on like 12 times. And who else? A whole bunch of others. There's that photojournalistic family photographer, Kirsten, Kristen.
I can't remember her last name.
It'll come to me. So anyways, she was just coming on, and I often would land them because what they were offering was so exciting, and they were easily accessible at that time because they were just coming on. Like I remember she was doing her first ever stage presentation, I think at WPPI. So I'm like, oh, let's hit her up, see if I can get her to do a webinar with me, and then we did a series. Anyways, my point being that that's sort of something I've always kept my eyes open. But my most favorite way to get speakers is to go with regular, everyday photographers who nobody knows.
It works because
well, they're in the trenches.
Yep.
Guys like you, guys like me.
We try.
Guys like Adele. We had Adele from Prince George who got in the fairies and is have huge success doing fairies.
And Hark in the Greater Toronto area there.
John Ratchford, on and on and on. All these are people that you don't hear from them. They don't want to be celebrity photographers. They just want to be successful, and they are successful in their communities.
And the ones that I do go after, as we call the big fish that we go after, are ones that I are kind of mentors to me from what I watch. And these are ones that I know are down to earth. They're willing to share and they want to help. They're not the stuck up ones or the ones that are just, I'm famous and you're lucky to have me on type of thing. They want to be here and they enjoy it. And every time we have one of them on here, you and I mean, you can vouch for me after we log off and we sit there and chat with them for a few minutes afterwards. They tell us how much fun they had and that it's totally different than any other interview they've ever had. So that's what we like to do. So, and I'm working on Sue Bryce right now. I'm trying to get her.
Yeah. But most of the photographers I've ever dealt with, they're all down to earth, especially the uber successful ones. It's almost like as if you need to be down to earth to be successful. But I've known a handful who are just full of themselves, and I kind of like stay away from that. You can tell pretty quick and early in the game if they're like that. So
I agree.
No judgments. I'm not making any judgment calls. Nope. Crystal just said, "Live her. I learned from her classes." I know you meant to say love her. we love you too, Crystal. I've been following you on Facebook because we're friends on Facebook, and I see all your posts, and I'm excited for you, and I want to get you back because you've been crushing the fairy stuff, the freaking amazing stuff. So, anyways, what else did I want to mention? So at the end of the month, we have Vanessa Joy. Oh, and then we're into March.
Then we're into March, and we'll figure out what our spring lineup will be then.
Yeah.
So I might actually. I'm in the trenches right now. Like started Monday, just passed, and we didn't do anything Tuesday night because I had a prior engagement. But then last night, tonight, tomorrow night, on the weekend, and then all next week the same time, Monday to Sunday, doing our hockey pictures. And we're doing them in the studio again this year because of COVID. So I'm going to try to see if one of the teams will allow me to do some video behind the scenes of it so that you can kind of get a hint of it, and then maybe we'll talk about that sometime in March or something like that. I can do a little show of how we do our hockey pictures.
I can't see why they would say no.
No, but it's not. Well, in my area, I got to watch because I'm in a high military area. So there's a lot where families, if they're like in what's called, if they're in Seesaw, as we call it here in Canada, which is like the American or Canadian version of the Navy SEALs. They're very secretive. They can't have their information out there, this and that, their pictures out there, things like that. Plus, we have to sign off on a release when we got the hockey account and soccer account in the summer that
you did, eh?
Permission. It's a thing where there are some children that could have been. They can't be in the newspaper. They can't have their pictures shown because of personal reasons. It could be that they're in foster care and the parents are trying to find them and things like there's a whole bunch of different reasons. You got to be very careful when it comes to children. So so we got to watch, but there are some teams where they don't mind because I know the people and I know the parents and I know the kids and say, hey, do you mind if I get a little behind the scenes of us doing the shoot? And they're usually really, really good about that. And then once I get some of the products back, then we can come on here and do a whole thing showing you from how we started it, what they had to do, how we shoot it, and then here's the final product type of thing.
Cool. So you're excited, things are working out for you, and you're busy.
Definitely.
Those are good.
Photography's not dead, and the brick and mortar photography studio is not always dead like people say it is. So,
well, some have suffered more than others. Some have had to pivot. And we'll talk about Will Crockett's story next week because his story is fascinating. Fascinating how he pivoted twice in his life.
Okay.
He had his motorcycle accident in the early 2000s, and he came up with Shoot Smarter while he was in the hospital, and what he's been up to lately. And he's just such a smart dude. And like, even if his story is non-photography related, which often we touch on stories and principles that they're important to latch on to. So. So, anyways, yeah, just quickly, I just want to mention I'm still in Costa Rica. I'm here till May. So I'm 5 months.
Okay.
I might have mentioned this to you, John. I don't know, but I mentioned it to my wife a year ago when we were in lockdown and 8 months lockdown. I was just so mad. I said, that's it. I'm moving to Costa Rica.
Yep.
We haven't done that, but we're here for 5 months. So that's our compromise. And I'm here looking to potentially move here full time at some point down the road. I don't know. It sounds kind of crazy. While we're here, we got a busy season lined up back home. We're booking pop-up weddings, and we have inquiries for our Fairy Day events, which those two areas are our mainstay. So, but while I'm here, I'm trying to see, there's a lot of people moving here, a lot of young families, and there's a lot of tourists and whatnot. It's crazy, crazy busy. It's good to see, but I see a lot of little girls around, and I'm like, fairy, fairy, fairy. I want to see if there's a fairy market. So I've been telling my wife, my plan is to get some samples. We brought some dresses down. And tomorrow, 3:00, we have our first model coming in to pose for us. And she's our condo management lady, and her name's Rosa. She kind of barely speaks English. Her kids speak zero English. So her daughter, who's 9 or 10, her name is Abigail. And so we brought a couple dresses down, and hopefully the bigger dress fits her. I mean, she's a tall 10-year-old, and hopefully she's into it too. I think she is. And I got a couple other 4 or 5-year-old girls, expat families that are potentially lined up. I want to get a few shots done in the jungle, in the foliage, with some. So I'm not in the studio, obviously, but the studio will be like, if you could see outside my condo, there's palm trees, banana trees, all kinds of beautiful foliage, which would work. And then if I can get a nice sample, which I hope to get, I should be able to get, I'm going to work it up in Photoshop. I don't have wings, so I'm going to add the wings in Photoshop. I'll share all that info with you as we go along. And then I'm going to run some Facebook ads and see if I can get some sales. You don't know until you try, right?
Of course. Sorry, I didn't realize I muted myself there.
That was lip reading.
By the way, can you hear the music in the background?
A little bit, but it's not bad. I don't.
Yeah, okay, because I can always turn it off in a second. But
It's so subtle.
totally forgot about it. But yeah, and don't forget, around July, August or so, you still got to come to Pembroke, Petawawa to do fairy portraits too.
Yeah.
You're not getting out of that one.
No, absolutely, and that's important to us because those events are what keeps us coming to Costa Rica.
Exactly. I just got my wife just came over and gave me crap because I forgot the hockey pictures we did last night. I was supposed to put on a little hard drive so she can work on them in there, and I totally forgot to do that. So
She's all take care of.
yeah, well, not yet. It's still they're on my laptop here that I'm on.
Okay. Well, tell her
So
we'll
she's gonna
be
have to
done
wait
soon.
till I'm done. We got 40 minutes.
So tied in with posing, because I want to talk about fairy posing real quick, but I'm mentioning this strategy that I'm coming up with, and running the Facebook ads for fairies. And by the way, I'll be running Facebook ads for families and couples because I have a good selection of images. I've already done a few shoots down here, and I got some really nice images. So I've collected a bunch of phrases. One of the most important things for me when I'm photographing people, and I think in part it's expressed in the book that I wrote, Exposed, the uncensored truth running a photography studio, which I re-edited and cleaned up and brought up to date last year during COVID-1. And there's a section in there on posing. I'm just going to quickly touch on this and some other thoughts that I had. Posing, here it is. Posing is intuitive, and at the same time, it is structural. It has to happen in a Zen-like fashion where it just flows. This is important because it has to do with the interaction between you and your subject. If your posing technique is nothing more than an aggravation and experience that is awkward and your subject can't wait for it to be over, then you'll look back at the photo session with a negative view. A large part of that has to do with posing. So that, and to add on to my other thoughts that I had, that I wrote down yesterday, if you do a really great job creating an experience, you further the sales process. So who you are and how you pose and the experience you bring in the studio or on location really plays a big role. Now, this is going to sound wrong, and I'm actually going to pick on a few photographers in a second. I said here, even if you compromise on lighting or the poses don't end up perfect, your confidence, your aura, the mindset you've created for your clients will be headed in the right direction versus, say, the photographer who creates a perfect or near perfect pose and lighting, but creates a negative effect on their experience. That negative experience is, to me, far more damaging. I think, and I could be wrong on that, but unless your work is so freaking good, they tolerate a negative experience. They love you so much. People need and want to be led. Individuals or families, couples, fairies. It's your responsibility to achieve a level of mastery in this area. I always compare it to Spielberg, the movie director. You're like Spielberg. You're in there directing people, and he's kind of a likable guy. He's not out there shouting orders. He's just very sort of like calm and clear and confident. I used to be okay, before I get ahead of myself, and I also mentioned, of course, you want to have it all. You want to have a great pose, great exposure, great lighting, and ultimately a great image. But it's underscored by the experience you bring to them, and posing plays a big part in this. And this applies to posing kids, families, headshots. Now, you and I both know that we're sort of using the headshot crew style, the Hurley style of posing headshots. I don't know about you, John, but I've been using those techniques since I joined the headshot crew last summer. And man, what a freaking amazing thing to bring to my sessions. I use those tactics, and I can tell, because most of the people I'm doing headshots for are professional. They want to have a good job. I'm not doing families or teenagers or kids. They get it. They're like, I'm giving them instruction, and I could tell they plug into that right away, and they're like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing. Well, actually, I learned from Peter Hurley. You agree, John? You're still muted.
Sorry about that.
I heard nothing you said.
Yeah, no, sorry. I had my BNI meeting this morning, and everybody's got to mute themselves when it's not their turn and stuff like that. And I'm just so used to it now.
Right.
But no, I had like just before we went on live here at 11 o'clock here Eastern time, I had a headshot for a new real estate agent. But I knew her before because she used to run one of the gyms here. She's a personal trainer, and same thing. A lot of the tactics that Peter Hurley, I mean, I almost do his triangular system almost all the time. The only time I don't right now is past clients.
Now you're talking about lighting, which is
for lighting,
cool.
But it gets into the posing part because when I set up that triangular, it's sort of overwhelming for them. So I don't just stick them in front of there and say, okay, do this, do that. I actually get in there first. I have them stand aside. And I say, okay, I'm going to pose you here. I'm going to turn your head this way. If I say turn your head, it means this way or that way. If I say tilt, it means like this and like that. And then the whole chin thing that he does, I sit there and show them because they're going to be able to do it a lot easier if you show them how to pose than if you just tell them what to do. Yeah. So I get in there myself. I say, okay, when you get in here, you're going to stand here. You're going to do this. If I say twist your face, if I say tilt it, that's like this. If I say, okay, chin down, don't just go like this or you're going to get like that, like everybody gets or stuff. So I do the whole chin thing and I get them to look at me from the side to see what I'm doing.
Right.
And that's why with the posing, I find people will do what you ask if you show them first. Don't just tell them. You got to be willing to get in there, make yourself look like a fool if you have to, and show them first. I
like making a fool out of myself. I
always do. So
no shame.
Yeah, I do it without even trying.
Comes naturally. You come by it honestly.
Comes naturally.
That's a good strategy, John. I've never actually tried that, and I'm going to. It never occurred to me.
Yeah.
I kind of stand there and show them where to stand, but then I go to the camera and they come in. Then I show them.
Especially the chin part, like for the double chins.
Yeah,
Nobody likes 2, 3, 4 chins. So if you show them, not only
yeah,
will they do it, but I'll also show them, like, okay, I'll tell you to put it out. But then when they do, I'll say, okay, now chin down further. A lot of them will still come back again. And I'm
yeah,
like, put it out. But when I say chin down, just chin down again or whatever.
yeah,
I exaggerated there a little bit, but you know what I
yeah,
get at, what I'm
yeah.
getting at.
So I always tell them too when I explain that, is that it's going to feel awkward, but it's going to look good.
I use the reference of like a turtle or a chicken.
Yeah. My dad used to say when he used to cook on Sundays for his family meals, and he'd say, I don't care what it tastes like as long as it looks good." But I tell him that I say, it's going to feel awkward, but it's going to look good. You want to look your best, so they
Definitely.
can appreciate that. So,
Definitely.
anyways, that's part of posing. And so, John, when you have a 2-year-old, do you do the same thing? Do you say, so
Yep.
show the
I get in
2-year-old?
the little basket for them too. And,
No, it's babies.
that's babies, yeah. No, I try almost all my shoots. I try and tell them or show them if I can, because it just depends on family portraits. It's hard, but I don't mind like even getting up there and like when I'm doing even a model, you want to get that nice curvature in their back and stuff. I'll actually get it and say, okay, I know it's not going to look good with me, but this is what I want you to do. I want you to always kick your
Right.
hip this way and that, and I'll do the hip kick and everything, and they laugh and they giggle, but it gets the point across because if you just say, okay, I want you to take your foot here, point that one at me, turn this one, and then kick your hip to the back. They're like, huh? But if you show them what you're talking about
Right.
and pose the same way they are and say, okay, here, kick this back like this, and then they're like, oh, okay, I understand. And because we did that last week, we had a 9-year-old in here to do some model portfolio shots and
Nice.
trying to get her to kick that hip back a little bit, not just to give that posture. And I'll even do it with headshots, even though we're only shooting maybe from here up. You want to
Yeah.
get that posture that's going to be proper. So sometimes you have to still get them to kick the hip or point their toes a certain way, even though you're not going to see it in the picture. You just want to get that right posture.
Stand up and show us, John. Kick the
If
hip
if
back.
this was really my studio, I would.
Can't you just stand up where you are? No.
No, I don't have enough room around
Okay.
here.
Trying to put you on the spot.
Believe me, you don't want to see my butt kicking into the camera like that.
No, not really. Well, so I came up with a list of. I was thinking about posing this girl, and one of the things that drives me nuts is I don't know the language, and I know I got to learn. I know enough Spanish to get me by, so I created a list of phrases. And when she's here tomorrow and her mom's going to be here, I'm going to ask her, does this make sense? I want her to say, close your eyes. So, and I went to Google Translate, cierra tu ojos, softly peek to me. I say that to girls when I'm in the fairy shoot. I mean,
Yeah.
unless she's really young and she doesn't understand, but a 3-4-year-old and up will understand. I get them looking down and I want them to be really soft and sweet and dreamy, and then I have them peek up at me. So peek up at me, and they often will do it wrong. They'll go, but I'll say, okay, that's good. Can you do it again? Just put your chin down and look down. Close your eyes like you're sleeping, and without moving your head, can you open your eyes and peek over at the camera? Then they get it, and I get those
Okay.
amazing poses. So softly peek to me is mírame suavemente. I think a small smile, una pequeña sonrisa. I think that makes sense. Bend your elbow, dobla el codo. Now, bending elbows and wrists is toes pointed and ankles and knees are really, really important to me when I'm posing fairies, unless they're
Okay.
very young. I get really, really fussy on this. I try to do the best I can. And, it's gotten easy for me, and anybody doing fairies and working with children like that, I think it's something worth looking at and trying to apply in your posing. And I'll show you a couple samples in a minute, but
Okay.
it reminds me, I was thinking about today's talk and where did I learn posing? Because I started school photography when I was 20, and I did it for 4 years, 2 years part-time, 2 years full-time. And I was extremely shy. I was like having panic attacks, anxiety attacks. I was going crazy. And then my first year of school photography, I got a part-time job working at Suitors. I don't know if you remember Suitors,
I do remember suitors.
big national chain. And they had a huge telephone solicitation campaign on. This is going way back to 1980, 81. And they had free photo shoots, blah, 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 blah. And they had a schedule that was jammed. And I got thrown into that. So I was photographing families after my first year shooting schools. And I just like, I was so petrified, John. You would have, if you would have met me back then, you wouldn't recognize me. I was such a different person. And I often look back at the journey I took and the skills I've acquired. And they're skills. You're not
Yep.
born with confidence. Well,
Nope.
maybe some people might be, but most of us are not. And you're not born with the skill set to communicate confidently and or sell, because the two apply. So I recommend anybody to keep shooting, keep practicing, practice, so that you know it. You know it, like spontaneously and in a Zen-like fashion. You have that mastery where you don't have to think about it. I highly recommend Toastmasters or a Dale Carnegie course to help your confidence and all that stuff. So I have to.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Adele is saying she always show poses and they mirror me. I do that too when I'm posing fairies. Unless they're really young or they're just not getting it, then I'll kind of like just go along because I want to get something. And but an older girl, 3, 4 and up, you've seen me, John.
Oh, I've seen you.
I'm always doing this, and I'm showing them the hand position. And, they'll stand there all straight armed. They'll say, oh, that's really nice. Always be positive. I never say, no, don't do that. I never say that.
Nope.
When I ask her to hold a dress on the sides and she's doing it all wrong, I don't ever say anything negative. I say, oh, that's really, really nice. I really like what you're doing. Can you just soften your arms a little bit and bring your hands out and, do that sort of.
Exactly. Well, I do the same thing because sometimes I'll put somebody in a pose and I'm like, no, that's not working. And I won't say they're doing anything wrong. I always make sure I follow up with, it's not you, believe me. I didn't direct you right. It's not, it was in my head, but it's not really what's going on. I make it like it's my fault, not their fault.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I never thought of that. John, I learn from you every time we talk.
I always tell them that. If I say, no, that's not working, I always tell them, it's not you. It's just the pose I put you in is not proper for you. Well, let's do something else. Like, you always got to, because you don't want them to feel self-conscious. Like, you put them in a pose, like, no, that's not working. All of a sudden, they're like, oh, I'm doing something wrong. So you always got to reiterate, no, it's not you. You didn't do anything wrong there. You did exactly what I asked you to. It just doesn't work for you. Let's try something different. Always make sure, because a lot of times, like you said, these are people that aren't normally used to being in front of a camera. And so they're not professional models 9 out of 10 times. So you've got to make sure that they're comfortable and confident in front of you. And if you're going to keep saying, no, that's not working, no, that doesn't work, no, it doesn't look right, they're going to start thinking there's something wrong with them, and they're not a very good photographer model, basically. So you just got to always reiterate that it's not them.
What you're saying is 100% true, and doesn't it reflect what I was saying earlier about you bring the experience, you bring the vibe, the mojo, the gravitas, you bring the whatever it is, they remember that experience, and if you make them feel shitty.
Yeah. And it's the same with just little things like your hands. People don't know what to do with their hands, especially if you're doing a glamour shot. I learned this from Lindsay Adler and Sue Bryce. Now, you never want to have, like when the girl's doing, like you don't want to show the big thick part of the hand. You always want to have it nice and elegant and like feminine hands to the side. Now, so it's just little details like that can make or break a photograph.
I remember when I was starting, I can remember years ago when I was struggling with all this, how I was like, okay, when I go to pose, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. And I had a list of things to watch for. And then I would completely blank out.
Yeah, I know.
You know that feeling, right?
I do.
Now that's not the case. Now I can look at it and I'm totally like, wow, I can see exactly the final image, and allows me to tweak. So the school photography experience really, really helped me a lot as far as the basics, the basic fundamentals. And you get to really understand posture, because posture was so important in school photography, and head tilts. And you do that over and over and over. Literally, John, you start to hallucinate when you get a big school and you're working from 8 in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon. You start to hallucinate. It's so much work, but it really embeds in you the very core basics. It's like going to karate school and learning the basics over and over.
Exactly.
There's a reason, wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
Brush.
Exactly.
So, but anyways, if you don't have that, you got to get it. Practice. So can I pick on some other photographers and show some?
You go right ahead. If I keep looking over to this side, it's because the dual screen's over here, and I'm watching the broadcast over here with like about a 10-second delay, just to make sure everything's going still fresh. So
you can see that?
I can see it.
That was a post by John Ratchford, our good buddy from Cape Breton, Sydney, Cape Breton. I follow him. I love his images. He does amazing work. I love this image. It looks like a 12-year-old girl, a grade 12 high school senior in a prom dress, I think. Love that couch. Love the lighting. Love everything about this. So I look at this and I think, okay, he's doing a really good job. Look at that nice curvature here. So when I'm photographing a young girl, I'm trying the same thing. I just asked her to bring her spine up just a You know what I mean? It just emphasizes the butt.
Well, he's got the nice little curvature in the back there, and just the elegant hands too. Nothing too, keeping it feminine.
Pose. Look at that hand. Those fingers.
Yep, exactly.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know.
I don't mind that. I would have actually bent her arm or her wrist there a little bit more, but overall, I think it's a great shot.
It is. Now it does look like her left hand is coming out of nowhere, but I know.
The arm there. Okay, I see what you mean.
John doesn't know we're picking on him. I'm just grabbing an example because I wrote about this in my book, how even professional photographers with many, many years of experience, there's ways to improve, and it's hard to see it. You look at somebody else's work, it's really easy to pick it apart.
That one's not as bad. It's the one where you get the hand just coming off, like they put their arm around and have it just coming off the other shoulder. It looks like that, what is it, Thing from the Munsters or Addams Family or whatever. That's what I don't like. This one I'm not so bad about. I don't mind the wrist or the arm the way it is here, but.
So I just wanted to kind of point that out. It's a really good image. You could sell a 40 by 50 canvas print easily. So I'm not.
What I probably would have did with that hand you're talking about, I probably would have just crossed it over the other arm in front. Just possibly. Sort of like a cross like this type of thing.
It's got the tattoo showing, so maybe that's awesome. Important. Maybe that's important. Okay, so same girl with her date.
Oh, really nice and striking. I don't know if I like the fist, but I like the picture overall.
It's exactly why I brought it up. The fist.
Yeah. Looks like she's going to punch him in the jaw.
Exactly. So John probably knows this. He probably looked at it later. I don't know. Or maybe he likes that pose.
I don't know. I would have just had it like this on his chest, like sort of like feminine wise, but open the fingers.
So those are details worth considering. Open the fingers, make the hand go soft and feminine.
Love the rest of the posing. Love the background. Love the lighting.
It looks like her weight is on both legs equally.
Possibly.
I don't know. John, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm always like I've done a lot of proms. And you got these beautiful gowns and these young girls. They're just so stunning. And I started doing these like what I consider to be fashion posing, putting their weight in different sides of their body, and then bringing the foot out. So this right foot, if she had her weight, I think on her back leg, and then she just took this foot and brought it out and turned it, pointed. You wouldn't see it, but it would affect this here part.
But it also kind of gives right now, I agree with you totally on normally, but with the dress, the kind of dress it is, it's almost like that mermaid look to it. So maybe he wanted it to be more straight, like a mermaidish type dress.
Well, yeah, and maybe he did an elegant version of, which is what I'm kind of describing when you're adding a little more ba-da-ba-boom.
Yeah. But I like more bends. I always went by the rule. I forget where I heard it from, but it's if you have something that bends, bend it type of thing.
So what do you think of hats? Hats drive me crazy. I mean,
it depends on the picture. This I could probably, for a prom, you can get away with it because you know that children, like teenagers, they are going to wear their hats. Some of them don't like taking them off. If this was like a couple, like in their 20s or 30s or 40s, I don't like it either. But for a kid like that age, I don't mind it.
I've done a few shoots the last couple of years, and this is like grown up, 30 plus engagement suits, and they come in. They're minors. They're rough and rugged blue collar workers, and they have their hats on. They're like, no, I'm not taking my hat off. Yeah,
I get that with kids all the time where they'll come in for their hockey pictures and they're wearing a toque or a baseball hat, and I look at the parent like, do you mind the hat on or do you want it off? Because it's their hockey picture. I don't care. And 9 times out of 10, they want it off. So
I'm looking at this pose, and it's a good pose to really exemplify what the overall strategies that we all got to remember. And John's banging this out of the park. Square the man off, make the man look like a man, make the woman look like a woman. So
I like the hands in the pockets too for him because I do that with my guys all the time. Guys don't know what to do with their hands, so put them in the pockets.
This is strong, right?
Yeah, I do that with when I used to shoot weddings. I used to do that with the groomsmen and that all the time.
Yeah.
I like it better because if they put their hand clasped in front of them, it looks like they got to pee. And if they
Yeah.
go up behind them with their hands together, to me it looked like Undertaker kind of. So I always like the hands in the pocket. So
So thanks, John, for letting us pick on your images. He doesn't know. um, this is a family. I shot this 5-6 years ago. These three boys I had photographed them all on the baby's first year wall panel. Did both their extended families and their wedding and their engagement session, and so it's a family I know very, very well. And I've probably brought this pose up before. It's one of my favorites because we were shooting the poses inside their house, and I looked outside and I went, "You guys want to go out in the front yard? There's snow. It looks pretty nice, and the colors really blend well with the
it does.
mid-November first snowfall." But look at Mom. Look at the way. See that leg?
Yep.
See Dad? Dad's got a little bow going on, but okay. But Mom's got that. I'm doing that on purpose. I want her to have that kind of feminine flow to her. If I had, I wouldn't in this situation because this little guy is really, really shy. That's why I put him in the middle. I always put the youngest kid with Mom, always. And in this case, with Mom and Dad, he's very, very shy. This is the oldest boy. I put him on Dad's side. He's the oldest. And then I put the other guy here. This was all posing strategies that run through my brain when I'm posing this kind of stuff.
I'm just impressed that you got the young guy or the oldest boy to actually hold his dad's hand because usually they're too old for that.
Well, he's about 8 or 9, so he's at the cusp. A little older, I might not have done it.
But I like the colors because the background's sort of subdued, and then you got the gray shirts with the blue jeans. So their faces are the first thing that your eyes go to, and that's what you want in a portrait.
It's that warm against cold.
Yep.
So I just wanted to point that out as far as posing is concerned. And I'm acting like a real goofball to get this kid to at least smile a little. He's extremely shy, shy. So we got it going on here. So in order for them to be not shy, you got to pose it properly. And he feels very safe between Mom and Dad.
No, it looks really good.
There's a pose I did last Christmas for Montessori. A lot of my poses with a lot of young kids, I'm just like, just pile in there. See Mom, not going to bother. Not going to bother posing Mom. I'm just like, get in there, and this is what happened. And I'm acting like a total goofball. I'm like, who farted? No, I go to the oldest guy, and I said, okay, do you remember the rules? No farting. And they're like, what did this guy just say to me? And then I go back, and I take a picture, and I go, did you fart? Or was that Mummy? And then you start, and they get crazy. And I want that. I want that insanity.
Yeah. I use fart jokes all the time.
You know it,
works.
You know it.
Yeah,
so there's no posing in certain circumstances. Okay, same here. And this is like kids jumping. Did a whole series with these guys. One can jump. This one here, normally I would put Mom in the middle, but I wanted Dad in the middle. I had the stepson who's like 18. He's like 6'4". He's massive.
Is that the mom in the picture on the right?
Yeah, and
because it's funny because the 18-year-old looks older than her.
Yeah, I know. He's 18.
Yeah,
tall.
I just thought that was a gentleman with his 3 kids.
No, this Dad, Mom, their new kid, and their old kid.
Okay.
He came from with her, I think. Okay. I don't remember, but I'm trying to explain the poses. And kind of get a sense of it's kind of structured but not structured.
Okay.
What I don't like about this is this here. Yeah, but they liked it. They ordered a wall picture.
Oh, good.
So, when I zoom in, I could crop this out. I can't.
Definitely. Definitely. I know what you mean, though. Yeah.
Yeah. If I zoomed in, if the older guy wasn't there, I could crop that out, and that's kind of where I was going with this. So anyways, I just wanted to bring that up to show somebody, and I brought this up recently, but these are unposes.
Yeah,
I just sit them down there and I start shooting. Boom, boom. I'm just shooting. Lots of energy. They ordered canvas prints upon canvas, a whole shitload of. They spent a lot of money. They love these poses.
Yep.
There's no structure. There's no scent. It's just total chaos. And they have a new baby. Let's complicate things. Have a new baby, a 22-year-old, and whatever, 5 or 6-year-old boy.
Yeah.
John, you were talking about posing the dudes, right?
Yeah, there's hands
Into
in
the
pockets.
pockets, turn their heads into the light. It's open shade. Boom. You got everything working. You got those lines coming in.
I remember you used to do that pose all the time, you and James, and you used to do the two
Still do it.
flashes from the sides there.
Yeah. Now I'm one flash or one main light
Yeah,
source
yeah.
working with open shade.
Times change.
So girls' fun poses. This was from last
That's
fall when
fun.
I did a pop-up wedding. All of a sudden, just spontaneously, I had all the kids there, and I said, "Let's have a jumping contest." I did a whole series of pictures. A
Yeah.
whole series of pictures. Another pop-up wedding. So you could see the way her legs are, and I want it to look
I like it though.
flowy. And here's your classic setup. I'm going to show a couple fairy images in a minute. Often, I want mom to look good. I want her to be the center of attention and sort of like this is my family because she gave birth to all these people. It's always you got to make mama look good. That's the number one rule in family pictures, as you know, John.
Yeah, mine's always make mom look good and make dad look in charge.
That's it.
You'll sell pictures.
I always approach the situation with that mindset, and I start from there. So this is late day. These guys are like they have a huge, humongous house on the lake. And mom's got a bit of confidence going on with that pose. I was cool with that. So let's just go with it. And
Definitely.
dad's got a similar thing going on. And the daughter's very feminine pose.
Yeah, very feminine. Yeah. And the guys are just hanging out.
Yeah.
I like the dad's pose because it reminds me a little bit of do you remember photographer Jerry Gionis?
Oh, absolutely.
That's kind of the thing where he has the person, the father sort of lean that shoulder forward like that towards the camera. He does that a lot.
Jerry's got some amazing. He's been putting some YouTube videos up if you want to get some cool.
Exactly.
He used to sell this stuff, and now it's all free on YouTube.
Exactly.
So here's another family. Mom's got the thing going on. See, and dad and the boys are square off. So I just wanted to go over those basics, and I want to show you something else. I want to do some fairy poses. There's this photographer who's from Holland. I love his style. His name is Henk van Kooten. You could see the name right
here. I can see it up there, yeah.
I discovered him about 14 years ago, and I've been collecting his images. So I highly recommend you collect images of people in poses that you like and find inspiring. I love this kind of stuff. He does all in studio, and it's really, really quirky. This is so bizarre.
Yeah, but it's fun.
I like bizarre.
Yeah, me too.
Look at that.
Okay, that one's cool, but I don't know if I'd like that one. Looks like they're going to slide down, but I love all these other ones. They're awesome.
So creative. So if you want to find somebody that you inspire, go check out this guy, Henk.
Definitely. I used to shoot like that too, where I'd cut the parents off like that and just have the kids. I used to do that all the time.
Yeah, and moi aussi. This is so cool. So, anyways, look
like
at the triangulation.
Exactly.
The older girl's probably a gymnast, and she's got that ability to stretch those legs out.
Definitely, that's cool.
This could.
I wonder if that was all a composition there.
Could be a composite.
Yeah.
Look at that.
That's fun. He's holding them all up. I love it.
But anyways, I don't know if I wish more clients would love this kind of stuff.
Exactly. I think some would if you start doing, because I'm finding more and more getting in more into the lifestyle type as opposed to the posed type.
Don't you love this?
It is. His stuff seems to be fun but edgy, and that's what I like about it. They're close up with a wide angle lens. I mean,
yeah, that's breaking all the rules. A lot of these are breaking all the rules. So look at this.
Oh, that's awesome. I'd put that as like a 30 by 40 or 40 by 60 on my wall anytime if that was my family, for sure.
This is obviously...
that's a composite, of course, unless he's a giant. Or they're just little people.
This is kind of cool. So you could see how his style, how his posing is now... You can see the consistency, but the variety and creativity.
Henk van Kooten. I'm going to write him down.
Kooten. So, yeah, I wanted to mention that because since I way back in the day, I've been collecting magazine images, and when digital came out, digital files, I have folders of swipe files.
Mm-hmm.
And I took this guy's and a bunch of others, but mostly this guy's, and I printed them out. And I have I don't know what this means, but it must be an inside family joke of
Yeah,
sorts.
exactly.
I'm not sure, but
Ooh, I like that
oh
one before there. The
yeah, this one
three.
here.
The one before that. There, I love that one.
All right, I find that one kind of bizarre, but
That's what I like about it. It's
all
totally
right.
off the rocker.
But then again, you're off your rocker too, so that kind
I
of makes
love exactly.
sense.
Poor dad gets cut
uh,
off.
this is cool. This is fun, brother sister.
Yeah. And I
So
like
yeah,
how he's not worrying about like awesome looking chairs. He just those fold up chairs that you just get anywhere and you just throw them out there. I think that's kind of cool.
I
It
should.
shows it's not the props.
I did a bunch of these poses, but not a whole lot.
Hmm.
But I at one time wanted to really pursue this look, and it just sort of just
And
fizzled
see,
out.
I'm a big black and white fan. I love black and
Uh-huh.
white portraiture, but a lot of the clients they don't want that. They want color. And
Yeah.
I wish they would let us do a lot more black and white. Sometimes I'll do it anyways. In the proofing, I'll put certain things black and white, and
Mhm.
sometimes they will.
This has got to be grandpa, grandma, and one of their kids here, and grandkids. I would imagine one, two, three, four, five kids. It's fun. I love it. And somebody might go, "Well, and foot's in front of his face." Well, whatever.
Whatever.
I love it. Don't know if people want their butt shots, but it's still a fun pose. Anyways, so I wanted to mention Van Kooten as
Yeah.
these are images that I've got from my swipe files that I've collected from him since way back when. Isn't this fun? So this has got to be a composite. What do you think? Maybe not.
No, probably it might not. I mean, there could be somebody underneath holding the front of the chair, and then he cloned
Yeah,
them out later. Who knows? But
yeah, you're
I'm
right.
trying to. I'm also trying to find some for you here too. That from a family that I did not too long ago. That might be kind of cool. That's a little bit different than what you're used to.
I
I
just
think
love
this
this
is
guy. Love this guy. Look at that. Jeez,
that is cool.
I'm
No, I
all
like that.
inspired now. So you can see I have some. These are contact sheets I made in Photoshop, and some of the ones I printed out.
And let me just find something here.
Okay, I'm going to show the screen to you. I'm going to show your
Go for
screen
it.
in a minute. I want to go to some
Yeah,
fairy.
no, you go right ahead. I got to find it here anyways, Fo.
Okay, do your thing. So I'm always trying to legs, ankles, fingers, knees, make sure everything's nicely put together. The older girls kind of got it going on. Younger
Hmm.
girls, hard to pose, almost impossible. So she's starting to walk in there, and I'm like, okay, everybody look down at little Alyssa and kind of hold your pose because she's doing this natural. She's just got the foot going in there. So with little kids, it's a lot of like you're just throwing a bowl of spaghetti on the wall and hoping then seeing what sticks.
Hmm.
You just got to kind of do that. So uh, toes crossed, very, very important.
Hmm.
Toes crossed. You'll see that over and over and over. So here we got the older sister, smaller sister, and I know it's going to be hard for her to reach. I know she's going to go up on her tippy toes, and this is what I want. I want the tippy toes. So some poses with little kids, you can't pose them. You just got to kind of trick them.
Hmm.
So for little boys, make them look like men. Give
I
that.
love that shot there. That's an awesome shot.
So you got see the strength in the feet, and you got
Hmm.
triangulation going on here.
Definitely.
Holding a sword, holding a sword. Not sure about these fingers, but whatever. I think I'm 89.5% in on this one. Little girl, same thing. You want that elegance, toes cross, hand on the wall, nothing awkward with the fingers. And you got to be able to look at all these things. Knees up, toes pointed, almost. And then, stop. If you're not getting it, stop and adjust.
Hmm.
This girl's like 5 or 6, and she was such a sweetie, so beautiful and easy to pose. And it applies to older girls too. So this is a masculine pose because her legs are boom boom. But that's what I wanted.
Hmm.
This is like a boudoir-ish medieval. Same thing. And look at her fingers here. See, that's all on
Beautiful.
purpose. I asked her to pose like that, and she's got nice muscles. She's proud of her muscles. So I mean, we
Hey,
wanted
show
that.
them off.
So we got the dude in the masculine sort of pose, and we've got the little girl in the sort of feminine. You can see the hands, everything flows. So you got to apply these principles best you can.
Definitely.
Older
I love the
girls,
dress.
yeah, it's a nice dress. She made that herself. She's into cosplay or something like that.
Yeah.
But see the fingers. So when you're posing, you gotta, like you said, John, don't want to make them feel bad if they're doing it wrong. Don't
Nope.
say anything negative. Say, "Oh, your finger position looks really good. We want to adjust it a little bit more. If you can just go a little bit softer." And when I'm photographing little girls, I'll say, "Can you just make it go nice and soft, like a fairy princess would do it?"
Yeah.
They kind of get that. So, did you find your?
Yeah. Oh, I found some stuff, but I was just letting you do your thing. No worries. There's no hurry. So this was a shoot I did. He's the gentleman that does all the signage for our building and stuff. Like he does billboards, and he's got a sign company here.
Nice.
And he's the one that's actually doing the front. Remember that glowing sign out front? He's going to do for me, and he did the one that's above my building and stuff. So he needed some family portraits done. So I'm just think share screen, and I'll show you. These are basically straight out of the camera. I think these are the proofs because I don't have the original. But then I'll show you the one final one that he loved that he actually blew up to an actual, I think it was 11 by 14 masonited print. So
Masonited it.
masonited, laminated and masonite on 1/8 inch masonite. So this is him and his wife. And so these are just, like I said, basically straight out of the camera. They're not used to having their pictures taken. He's not so bad, but she hates having her picture taken.
Right.
So we were just getting, you see a little bend in there and kicking that hip to the back there a little bit. And he's a little bit more squared off too. And this was just to start it. And you can see I'm the bright, bold colors. I'm not the faded look that much. I like the bright, bold colors.
And
There's nothing really done to these. These are almost straight out of the camera, just using one Godox to the left there and 32-inch Octi. So just getting some shots. But then, like you said, people that were into the cosplay here, and I don't know what happened there. Let's go back out for a second there. My screen's just stopped for some reason.
there we go. Oh, you had it.
Yeah,
It's
I don't know
coming
what happened
back.
to this one here. We'll try that again. There we go. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but... And then we got the family in there. So that's their 3 children. He has another son, too, that from another marriage that is grown up and almost looks like his age, actually. And they're in this picture, too. But this was just before while we were waiting for the other family with his son in that.
You got the
Then
hats,
we wanted to get some.
hats,
that?
hoodies, and cargo pants.
Yeah. So we
That
changed the
drives me-
posing.
That drives me nuts.
And then we wanted to get some fun shots by the fire there. So these you got to watch because I'm still using my strobe, but you got to balance it with the ambient because you want that fire to show and the smoke and stuff.
Yeah.
So we just had them as if they're just hanging out in their backyard.
Nice.
Like you said, more of a lifestyle. In the final images, we would get rid of that, of course, right there and things like that. But have them poking the fire and just having them have a fun time. Then we changed the posing a little bit. And I try nowadays to shoot a little wider than I need to because Colleen gets mad at me when she edits if I don't give her enough room to crop and stuff.
All right.
And I don't know why it keeps going like that.
Something's going on.
So we'll go back. I think it's because some of the images for some reason are missing, and I don't know why. But we'll try this one here. View. So you kind of get an idea there. We can go a little bigger. We did even this one here where they're a little bit closer up on them and just changed their posing a little bit. But then they wanted to have some fun. So we let the kids just have some fun in the trees and stuff. Because you got to let them be them. This is their backyard, actually. So he...
It's a nice yard.
Yeah,
Looks
so we
very
just got-
homey.
This was in October. So we got the kids, but then I said got the parents back in there. And then I used to do that one at weddings all the time with the bride and groom and even engagements back then.
That kid got a mom's back. That's amazing.
And then the sister, very close family. They're really nice and they get along and that. But then they wanted to get in. Then his other son here. This is his other son and his wife and their kids. And they came all dressed up in costumes. And this is where it got a little weird. So we're doing some by the fire again. And then I think I'm having some That's probably where another one went. You'll see some of them are missing for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, when the other son showed, that's when the costumes came out. So you can see we were having a little bit more fun.
Very nice. Look at that. What's he wearing on his eyes?
Who him? He's just got a face paint.
Oh, okay.
So they wanted more of that. Him and his wife are more like the Game of Thrones kind of, or
Right.
that kind of era. And the kids, some of them, one's in his little Spider-Man or something, or Iron Man or something, and just getting the pose. Then there's dad and his son, because they're into all that kind of stuff. And then there's this picture. So this one here, this series of pictures, I can't remember which one it was, but one of those ended up being that.
Nice.
Because he wanted more black and white sepia. He wanted that old kind of sepia look.
Beautiful.
So you could see he's more like a mobster guy, and this daughter's like they all. I don't even know what she's got a cape and a hat on.
Yeah.
That's
So
not them.
everybody, everybody in your area, when they turn 16, that's when they get their first assault weapon, right?
I guess it must be. And then we did every kid, of course. We found different areas for them.
I'm teasing you. Ottawa. That's an Ottawa Valley joke.
Even this guy, like he's got the old mobster look to him.
There you go. Yeah.
And so we had to find areas, and that's the thing about posing. You can't just pose them. You've got to put them in areas too that'll match the scene. Like his high grass was perfect for these.
Yeah.
And this girl here, like she just photographed really nicely, almost like a porcelain doll. If you look like over here, and these are just straight out of the camera too, so you can see she came out like a porcelain doll. And then of course Dad and Dad having their little fight scenes. So I mean, you can have some fun with it too. Everybody's always looking at posy, but I think you can have a lot of fun with it too if you really let your mind just wander.
Yeah. Cool.
So I thought with the posing, I thought I'd show you guys a little bit different kind of posing.
Nice. Well, again, it's there are sort of Zen-like approaches as well as some very structured elements that have to be applied, but applied in such a way that you bring a positive experience and it looks like you know what you're doing, just like Spielberg. Whether you're photographing fairies, whether you're photographing families. I was going to say, when you're photographing hockey and teams, it's less a thing. Because you're doing volume, right? So you're doing the group pose as a thing, but it's very, very much more within the parallels, the confines of certain. I hate to say it, it is what it is. It's just
it's just the same thing over and over. Boom, boom, boom. It's all rote learning, rote memory, and
teams and individuals, and but all other areas, learning to pose is crucial, and it's awkward, man. I'll tell you. Like I'm thinking back to the old days when I started out. Like I'm talking like back in the '80s, possibly seeping a little into the early '90s, where just so petrified. But I was willing to learn and grow and look at what others are doing and educate myself over and over and over. And last 2 months ago, I watched the whole series of Jerry Gionis YouTube videos. That's why I was mentioning him and the fact that he's got a whole crop load, because I'm watching them all the time. And I'm like, oh, I never even thought. And I'm learning from you, John. You're like, you taught me 2 really important lessons today. Don't instruct them on how to pose from behind the camera. Get in there sideways and actually show them.
And you don't have to get even right in where they are. Just sort of, even by your camera, just turn sideways and show them how to do it. Or when you want to do something, turn to the way they are, because there's nothing like you're looking at them this way and they're looking at you this way. If you want them to kick the hip back that way, but you're kicking it towards the other way. So get into their position and show them what you want them to do. And then they're, okay. So your Headshot Crew submission, yes.
Is that come and gone, that event? I can't remember.
I had to have it in by the end of the 31st because it's every month, right? So I got it in on the 31st. So I'm just waiting now for when he's going to judge him.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
I'm sure he'll tear me another one. He's always got a good thing to say to tear me another one, but that's okay. So, you can take it.
I don't know why I don't get notifications for those maybe I'm not on the list for some reason.
But you
even
should
though
be on
I'm-
their newsletter. But even if you're not, it's every month. You just have to take a photo and put it in there. If you go into the Headshot Crew and you log in, then on the left-hand side, when you click the little things, for the menu there, you go. I always
Yeah.
go to the coaching part and then scroll down. You'll see contests and just click on it.
Yeah.
Has headshot of the month, headshot of the week. Where the headshot of the week is different. That you have to have. It has to have been shot that week.
Okay.
Whereas headshot of the month could have been shot anytime.
Cool.
So
Before we close her down, I just want to show you guys something. And give me 1 second. Marketingexamples.com. I remember this guy from years and years and years and years ago. I must have been on his email list, and I sort of forgot about him, and he forgot about me because he never sent out any emails. But then he sent an email out a few weeks ago, and I'm like, holy shit, I remember that guy. So if you like to study marketing, go check it out, marketingexamples.com. There is some amazing stuff in there. And I think that marketing is probably one of the most important activities that you ought to be doing. And I'm always studying, learning, and trying to find out new ways. And on that note, I got a text from Nancy Tilburg from Thunder Bay this morning. She did a promotion that she was telling me about a few weeks ago. She called me on the phone. We talked for a while, and she was telling me about this idea. Then she was so excited because the idea just blew up in a good way.
Yep.
So she sent me the link this morning. I'm hoping that we can show it. I'm not going to say anything in detail because it might be confidential for her at this point in time. Okay. But I can tell you this much: it's amazing, and her copywriting was stunning. I'm like, where did you get all this copywriting skill? Did you hire a copywriter? So this is marketing, man. I think she'll say yeah. So, and again, she's the kind of photographer that I like to bring to these because she's in the trenches and struggling to struggle and face to face, eyeball to eyeball with clients all the time. So, and Crystal Adele, man, getting you back. Hopefully you're nodding in agreement. And want to remind you guys, I have a posing guide in my for members.
I have it somewhere.
The Ultimate Family Posing Guide. And the first one I did, this is old. This is about 19 years old. Profitable Portrait Studio Ultimate Posing Guide for the Portrait Photographer. Swipe files from a marketing rebel. Blah 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 blah. When did I do this one? Way back. So it's 137 pages. It's not super fancy design like Jerry Gionis or anything. However, the ideas are there. So I mean, look at mine. And it's loaded with practical advice as well as this one too. So I just wanted to mention all that stuff. And
I saw Crystal put, he's amazing. She must have been talking about me.
No, she was talking about me. You know she's my favorite. I'm her favorite. I think she's talking about Jonas.
And I saw Hark was on here too, and John Rumble's, I think, on here too.
Nice. Well, maybe we'll get John Rumble here.
Yeah, we haven't had him on yet.
Nope. So it's good.
Yep.
I'm good to go. You good to go?
No, I'm good to go. I got my my video guy coming here in about 20 minutes because I got a real estate house I have to do tomorrow, but he's coming today. He's got to go do the video part for it and the drone and stuff. So
before we leave, can you take off your green screen so we can see what the truth is?
Take the green screen off?
Yeah.
Well, all you'll see is green. That's all you're going to see. Because if I go right now, go like here and go virtual backgrounds and go none.
Boom.
There I am.
Ta-da.
But what people don't realize is this actually is my real studio, though. It's just a shot of it. Everybody wonders what this is right here.
Where?
Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. Right behind me there. See that above? Which shoulder is it? This shoulder here. See the
boom?
Little yellow thing right there?
Oh, okay.
I get a lot of kids come in too, and they're like, "What is that?" And it's basically on my boom arm there, and it's actually a tennis ball.
Yeah.
That's got and it's funny. You can actually go to the dollar store. I think it was dollar store. I got it, and there was a pack of 3 already with the cut in it. It's just cut like a little X there, And because a lot of cleaners actually will put it on a broom handle and use it to clean the scuff marks off their floor, it works really well. So they already make them like that. So I use them on my boom arms because when you got a boom up there and the arm's coming down, anybody walks by, you're going to poke their eye out with it. So this way, A, they'll see it. So hopefully they don't run into it. And B, if they do run into it, it's just a little tennis ball hitting their head. They're not getting hurt.
Like when they put tennis balls on in tennis back in the old days, when you're in the parking lot, you know where your car is.
Exactly. So,
All right, Johnny, I'm
all right.
I'll let you go right away. You don't have to hang around after we're done this. And
Not a worries.
yeah, I know you got a busy schedule today, so
No worries. I got to talk to your daughter hopefully this week too, because she's making a logo for me for another project.
nice. Well, I hope it works out. She's
Oh, I'm sure it will.
I don't want to be biased, but she's a pretty good designer.
Oh, I know she is. That's why I've reached out to her.
Daily beatings have paid off.
Plus, it gives us time to go on Zoom and talk about Dad.
Yeah, gossip. That's when my ears have been ringing. Bing, bing, bing.
Exactly.
Johnny.
But no, you have a good one, and hopefully everybody else. And remember, next week we have who's on with us next week?
Will Crockett.
Will Crockett. So you don't want to lose out on that.
Oh, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun.
We'll talk to everybody later.